Hey, pull the car over, pull the car over. Take a deep breath because what I'm about to tell you right now is not a tall tale, it's not corner gossip, it's not what they told you at the spot. This is the pure reality of a man who had all of Puerto Rico shaking. Imagine this, a guy that the police had to ask for permission to enter his housing project, who the feds had #1 on the most wanted list, who took 19 bullets and kept standing, who commanded more power than any politician in his area, who was mentioned in reggaeton songs as if he were a legend, and who one day ended up crying in a federal cell with his head buried in a Bible that served as his pillow. That man is called Norberto Morales Rivera. But all of Puerto Rico knows him as Berto el Indio, the Indian, the supreme boss of Galateo, the leader of the Bandits of Puerto Rico. And today, here, on this channel, I'm gonna tell you his entire story. Complete, unfiltered, uncensored, from the first day his mom forced him to get on the church bus to the day he left federal prison changed and converted into a warrior of God. Get ready, because you are going to hear how a child who learned Bible verses by force ended up being the king of the streets, how that same child received bullets that no one survives, how his own people betrayed him, how his mother told him tearfully, "I don't know you," how the FBI hunted him down like he was Bin Laden, and how, in the darkest place of a federal prison, God grabbed him and transformed him in a way he couldn't even believe. This is not cheap Instagram motivation. This is not a you can do it commercial. This is the street talking to the street. This is the raw truth of someone who had everything and lost everything and then recovered it in a way no one expected. So grab your phone, turn up the volume, put on your headphones, because what's coming next is going to leave you speechless. We're starting now, my people. Like this video if you want more real stories from the street, comment from what part of Puerto Rico you are watching me, and if you knew or heard of Berto el Indio in his time, let me know in the comments. Ready? Well, hold on tight because we are starting with the complete story from the beginning. Let's go. The child who didn't want to go to church, but God had already marked him. Let's start from the beginning, because this story doesn't begin when Berto became the boss. It starts much earlier, when he was still called Norberto Morales and was a skinny kid who just wanted to watch cartoons on Sunday mornings. Norberto was born in New York, but he was brought to Puerto Rico at a very young age. First, he ended up in Luis Llorens Torres, that housing project that everyone knows is a university of crime. And then the family moved to Rio Grande, to the Galateo residential area, which at that time was quiet until he arrived. His mother, a tough woman, one of those who doesn't take no for an answer, although she wasn't fully Christian yet, had one thing clear: her children were going to church no matter what. Every Sunday, a bus from an evangelical church would pass house by house. Those times that hardly exist anymore, remember? The bus would arrive, honk the horn, and the church lady would get off with a list. "Let's go, it's Bible school, bring the children." And Norberto's mother would literally push him. "To church, you're getting on." He would whine, "Mommy, no, they're showing the Super Friends, they're showing Tom and Jerry, I don't want to go to any church." But the woman wouldn't back down. She would dress him, comb his hair, and put him on the bus even if he was crying. And there went Norberto, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, sitting on the bus with a sour face looking out the window. They would arrive at the church and the teacher, a lady he remembers as Doña Angelina, bless her wherever she is, would use whatever she had to, candy, chocolates, cookies, whatever it took, for the children to learn the verses. Whoever knows John 3:16 next week gets this prize. And the kids would fight to raise their hands, me, because they wanted the prize. Norberto learned the verses by force, for the candy, not because he wanted to. But listen closely to this that he says now. Those verses he learned out of sheer annoyance, out of pure mommy force me, were the very same ones that years later, when he was between life and death with bullets in his body, came out of his mouth like a weapon. He didn't know it, but God was already marking him since he was a kid. Because imagine, while he was sitting in that boring church, watching the clock, thinking, when will this end? God was planting a seed that would later sprout in the darkest moments of his life. And he says it now himself with tears. "I didn't want to go. I threw a fit. I cried. But those verses I learned for a chocolate were the ones that saved my life when nobody gave a dime for me." And so it was for years his mother forced him. The bus passed. He got on reluctantly. He learned the verse. He ate the candy. And he went back home. But in his heart, the seed was planted. And though he didn't know it, God already had a plan with that child who all of Puerto Rico would later know as Berto el Indio. And right there, on that bus, in that church, everything began. But no one, not even himself, imagined what was coming next. When his eyes opened to the street and El Indio began to awaken, look, Norberto was no longer the kid who cried because he was forced to get on the church bus. He entered adolescence and, as he says himself, my eyes opened. He was living between Luis Llorens Torres and Galateo, and what he saw out the window changed his life completely. Imagine the scene. Brand new cars parked in the carport, gold chains heavier than a baseball bat, new motorcycles, beautiful women, and above all, respect, or rather, fear disguised as respect. People bowed when the boss passed by. And the 14, 15-year-old kid would tell himself, I want that. I want people to lower their gaze when I pass. He tells it clearly. I thought I was going to enter the street, make some money, buy a new car, a house, a motorcycle, some chains, and then I would retire and set up a legal business. That was the plan. Like almost everyone who enters thinking the street is a temporary job. But the street doesn't just let you leave. He started selling to make some money, but within months it was no longer just Galateo. Norberto Morales' name started sounding in Luquillo, Fajardo, Ceiba, Humacao, all the way to Carolina. The drug spot multiplied. The kilo started arriving by the box. And one day, without realizing it, the skinny kid who threw a fit not to go to church was already Berto el Indio. And when they gave him that nickname, there was no turning back. He says, when I first heard them call me El Indio, something inside me ignited. It was as if that name gave me more power. I was no longer Norberto, so-and-so's son. I was El Indio, the one in charge, the one nobody dared to cross. And so, little by little, the child from Bible school died, and the boss was born. Galateo became his fortress, and no one entered without permission. There came a time when the Galateo residential area stopped being a quiet housing project and became sacred territory. Berto set rules that no one dared to break. Listen closely to this because it's real. The single women in the housing project could only date people from their own crew. If you came from outside and they saw you talking to one of them, the world would fall on you. The grass on the court was untouchable, no one stepped on it. Not even the kids playing ball, it was a sacred zone. The drug spots had 24/7 surveillance with radios, long guns, people on the roofs. It looked like a war zone. The municipal police had to call for permission if they wanted to enter the housing project, and often they were told, not today, come back tomorrow. Berto walked around with a crew he called My Country. They were like his personal soldiers, and everyone bowed to them. He says that in his room, when he closed the door, he would lie on the bed and cry like a child. He would ask God to take him out of there. But the next day he would come out tougher than ever. He says, I knew I was wrong, but power had me blind. I saw that people were afraid of me, and that filled me up. I thought that was what being a man was. And people outside saw him as the king. They threw parties for him, sang him happy birthday with a band, gave him chains, cars, but inside, he knew it was all a lie. Because when you're on top, everyone applauds you to your face. But behind your back, they want you dead. And he knew it. But he couldn't stop anymore. 19 bullets in his body, and God still giving him opportunity after opportunity. Now comes the part that no one believes, but it's documented. There are photos, there are medical records, there are police officers who saw it with their own eyes. Berto el Indio received 19 bullet impacts in different attacks and accidents. 19. And he is still alive, walking, preaching with his family. Listen to this slowly. First major attack, Luquillo Town Festivals. He takes a shot that pierces his lung. He arrives at Fajardo Hospital, practically dead. The police and doctors said, let him die, he causes harm. Result? He walks out. Second attack, in front of his mother's house. He takes 10 shots, his mother throws herself on top of him in the middle of the street to protect him. He is left for dead. He arrives at the hospital paralyzed from the chest down. He can't feel his legs. The doctor, the same one from the previous year, enters, closes the door and tells him, Norberto, the God I told you about still raises paralytics. Berto bursts into tears, accepts Christ right there on the gurney, but he leaves and returns to the street worse than before. Motorcycle accident. The passenger dies, he walks out. Car accident, the car is destroyed, the person next to him dies, he walks out without a scratch. Another attack, he takes several more shots, he walks out. People started saying, that man has a pact with the devil. Others say, That man is blessed, no one can kill him. But he says it clearly now. Every bullet was God telling me, not yet. I'm not finished with you. I'm giving you an opportunity. And he knew it. Every time he left the hospital, he would cry and promise God he would change. But a few days later, he was back at the spot. Tougher, more violent, further from God than ever. And so the years passed. A bullet he took, an opportunity God gave him. A bullet he took, an opportunity God gave him. Until one day, he ran out of opportunities to walk out. The day came when he couldn't escape. And that's where everything really changed. But that, I'll tell you in the next segment. Don't move, this is just getting started. The doctor God sent twice, and the promise Berto broke. After so many bullets, and so many times that God pulled him out of death, the attack came that everyone thought was the end. In front of his mother's house, 10 shots. Berto falls in the middle of the street, blood pouring out everywhere. His mother, desperate, throws herself on top of him shouting, "Don't kill him, he's my son." The hitmen leave thinking they finished him off. They rush him to Fajardo Hospital. Berto arrives paralyzed from the waist down. He can't feel his legs. Nothing. The doctors are already giving him up for dead. Or, at best, a lifelong paraplegic. The on-call doctor enters. And it was the same doctor who had treated him the previous year when his lung was pierced in Luquillo. The doctor recognizes him, closes the room door, stays alone with him and says, "Norberto, the God I told you about last year still raises paralytics. He still performs miracles." Berto, who couldn't even speak from the pain, bursts into tears like a child. Right there, on that blood-soaked gurney, he raises his hand as best he can and says, "Doctor, I accept Christ right now. I don't want to continue like this." The doctor prays with him, puts his hand on his head, and tells him that God will raise him up. And the impossible happened. 7 months later, Berto walks out of the hospital. The doctors couldn't believe it. The police guarding him said, "This guy must have a pact, because nobody survives this. The people from the housing project received him as a hero. El Indio is alive. Nobody can kill him." They threw him a party, gave him chains, cars, and he went back to the same thing. Worse than before. He says now, crying, "I promised God on that gurney that if he raised me, I would retire. But when I walked out, the enemy put pride in me and said, 'Look, you saved yourself because you are the toughest, not because of God.' And I believed the devil. I returned to the street more violent, more bloodthirsty, further from God than ever. I broke the biggest promise I made to the Lord." And so, he spent years. God saved him and he turned his back. God saved him and he turned his back. Until one day, God said, "The opportunities to walk out are over. Now I'm gonna talk to you in a different way." The day the FBI knocked on the door and his mother said, "I don't know you." After years of war, the feds mounted the biggest operation ever seen in Rio Grande. 26 arrest warrants. 21 people are arrested the same day at 5 in the morning. Houses surrounded, helicopters, agents with vests that say FBI everywhere. Berto barely manages to escape. He hides, goes to the States thinking, "Nobody knows me there, I'll disappear there." But the feds don't play. They catch him, they extradite him back to Puerto Rico. The day they take him off the plane with shackles on his hands and feet, they take him directly to the federal court in Hato Rey. His mother is waiting there, her eyes swollen from crying so much. When she sees him enter in chains, she stands up, looks him straight in the eye and tells him tearfully, "Petito, I don't know you. You are not the son I gave birth to." That phrase hit him like a bucket of cold water. He says that at that moment he felt his heart was ripped out. Because if there is one thing a man from the street cannot stand, it's his mother saying that to him. He wanted to hug her, explain, ask for forgiveness. But the marshals wouldn't even let him get close. That was the last time he saw his mother alive. He says that in the federal van, on the way to prison, he was crying like a child. He asked God, "Why did you let me get here? Why didn't you kill me with one of those shots?" And God answered him clearly in his heart, "Because I didn't want your death. I wanted your life, but you didn't want to give it to me." And there began the real hell, but also the real change. Subscribe if you like the video, my people. Like it and activate the bell, because what's coming now is pure fire. 2 leaves. The sentence that broke him and the best gift God gave him. In federal court, he was given 2 options, either sign for 20 years or go to trial and easily get life. Berto, who always thought he was the smartest, had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Italian lawyers, expensive lawyers, thinking they would get him out quickly. He changed lawyers constantly because "this one is no good, bring me another." The day of the sentencing arrives. The judge looks him straight in the eye and says, "Norberto Morales Rivera, I am going to give you 2 lives." Berto, confident, asks, "How 2 lives, Your Honor?" There is only one. And the judge replies coldly, you already live one, causing harm to half of Puerto Rico, killing people, selling death, destroying families. The other one you will live here inside, in prison, paying what you owe. That phrase destroyed him. Right there, in front of everyone, Berto el Indio, the one who never cried in public, the one who commanded more than the police, broke down. He started crying like a child. And he signed the 20 years in less than 2 minutes. He says, now, that was the best sentence they could have given me. Because if they had given me less, I would have kept thinking I was untouchable. God used even the federal judge to speak to me. Those 20 years were the greatest gift God gave me in my life, because it was in there that I finally surrendered for real. And there, in that courtroom, with shackles on his feet, crying as he had never cried, Berto el Indio died, and Norberto, the warrior of God, began to be born. But what happened inside that federal prison, I'll tell you that in the next segment. Stay there, this is getting even heavier. 9 months in the hole with the Bible as a pillow and death, knocking on his door. When Berto enters federal prison, he still arrives with his chest puffed out. He still thinks he's El Indio. He still thinks that inside he's gonna keep giving orders, that they'll respect him, that the other inmates will bow to him. But federal prison is not the jail in Puerto Rico. There are no spots there, no crew, no my country. There everyone is the same, a number. And because he kept giving orders, kept trying to organize things from the inside, they put him in the hole for 9 months. 9 months locked up alone, 23.5 hours a day in a 2x3 meter cell, no visits, no calls, nothing. The only thing they left him was the Bible that Pastor Madeline Ortiz had given him years before. That Bible became his pillow. Literally, he put it under his head to sleep. He says that the first few days, he was furious. He hit the door, shouted, cursed God, cursed the guards, cursed everyone. But after a few weeks, he ran out of voice and strength. And that's when he started opening the Bible. First out of boredom, then out of desperation. He says, I would open the Bible and cry. I would read a verse and cry. I slept with the Bible hugged and woke up crying. 9 months sleeping with my head on top of the word. 9 months without seeing the sun. 9 months without talking to anyone. And that's when God really broke me. In those 9 months, things happened that marked him forever. His mother died. He couldn't go to the wake. He couldn't give her a last kiss. His brother died. He couldn't go either. His sister was arrested for helping him. He lost all contact with his 9 previous children. He was left completely alone. And there, in the darkness of the hole, he said to God, Lord, I have nothing. No car, no house, no money, no respect, no family. The only thing I ask is that you give me a real family, a wife who loves me, children who call me dad. I don't deserve anything, but if you give me that, I will serve you my whole life. And God answered him, I will give it to you, but in my way and in my time. When he came out of the hole, after 9 months, he was no longer the same. He was no longer Berto el Indio. He was Norberto, a broken, surrendered man, ready for God to rebuild him from scratch. The woman who never knew him on the street, and the 6 humblest months of his life. While Berto was in prison, Katia Diaz started writing him letters of encouragement. She never saw him on the street with cars and gold. She met him in prison through phone and paper. They fell in love that way. He warned her, I'm coming out penniless, with federal probation, with nothing. She replied, I fell in love with the Norberto that God is raising up. He was released in 2015 with a plastic bag and the Bible that was his pillow. He arrived in Orlando where Katia lived with her 2 daughters. The first 6 months were pure humiliation. He didn't have a car, he walked or took the bus. People would record Berto el Indio walking and upload it to social media. From the past, they offered him BMWs and money. He said no because you never sent me a single letter in 17 years. Katia worked from 6 to 6 maintaining the house, and he didn't contribute a cent. That hurt his pride, but God taught him. For the first time, he had to let a woman support him. He walked sweaty under the Florida sun, but he says he had never had so much peace. 6 months, like that, until God opened the door. That changed everything. From, I don't know how to change a light bulb, to brigade chief, and God wiping his past blank. After 6 months of walking everywhere, rejected at all jobs because his federal record came up, God opened a door. Berto arrived at an electrical maintenance company in Orlando. He walked into the office with his head down, sweaty, humble as never before in his life, and told the owner, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know how to change a light bulb. I've never worked legally in my life, but I'm willing to learn anything. Pay me what you think I deserve. I didn't come here for money. I came because I need to work and because God sent me here. The owner looked at him strangely, gave him the application. He reached the part where he says, "Have you ever been confined?" Berto left that box blank. He didn't put yes, he didn't put no. He said, "I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna write anything either. Give me the opportunity for God to speak for me." The owner ran the background check, and a completely blank paper came out. Blank. As if Norberto Morales Rivera had never existed. The man stared at the paper, laughed, and said, "You've never changed a light bulb. I like that sincerity. The job is yours." Berto's tears came to his eyes right there. Praise the glory of God. God wiped away my past. First day of work, God spoke to him clearly. "Today you are going to testify to your boss. Tell him where I took you from." Berto was scared. This guy who doesn't even greet me. He'll fire me on the first day. But he obeyed. At 3 in the afternoon, when the boss said, "See you tomorrow, Norberto," he replied, "Wait a minute, brother. Let me tell you something. God is good and marvelous. Look, I got out of federal prison, God erased my record, he brought me here." And he started talking nonstop. The boss started crying like a child. He confessed, "I had been separated from God for 20 years. 6 months without going to church, without talking to my pastor. And your testimony today tells me that God still remembers me." Since that day, that man became Berto's mentor. He taught him everything he knew. A year and a half later, the boss changed companies. They asked him, "Who do you recommend for your supervisor position?" And he answered, "This guy right here. The one who arrived saying he didn't know how to change a light bulb. He's the best." Today, Berto is a brigade chief. Engineers with degrees call him when they don't understand a blueprint. "Norberto, come, look at this." And he tells them, "Give me a moment. I'm going to talk to that." He prays for 2 minutes and comes back. "Okay, it goes like this." And everyone knows that without God, he is nothing. The Berto of today. Family, ministry, and forgiveness. The day came when Berto and Katia were gonna buy a car. They were approved. In the back of the dealership were the sports cars, the BMWs, the ones he liked on the street. He sat in one, smiled, but Katia said, "Are you sure God told you it was a fancy car?" "Because God told me something else." They went home, prayed together, and God spoke to him clearly. "The van, the one you said on the street, not even there will I buy a van, not even there will I wear a tie." Berto laughs now and says, "He put me in the van and the tie every day. He bought the van." And he understood why. In a sports car there was no room for the boxes of tracks, the food for the homeless, the speakers for street preaching, or 8 or 10 brothers when there's a campaign. Today he's on his third van. He sold the first one, bought another, sold it. And Katia jokes, "Don't buy me any more little cars. The van is mine now." And the most powerful thing, God gave him a 4-year-old son. Berto says tearfully, "I didn't experience anything with my 9 previous children. I didn't see them get teeth, I didn't change a diaper, I didn't wake up at night when they were sick. I missed all that by being in the street. But with this little boy, God allowed me to experience everything. I know what it is to see a tooth come out, change a diaper, get up at 3 in the morning because he has a fever, and I enjoy it like the first day." He repeats, "I didn't deserve to be a father again. I didn't deserve a wife like Katia. I didn't deserve to be dead or still in prison. But God decides who deserves and who doesn't. And the Bible says he shows no favoritism. If he did it with me, he will do it with you." Today, he travels preaching throughout Florida and Puerto Rico with his entire family. He brings tracts, food, hope, and when people offer him millions to go back, he laughs, "I am already a millionaire in Christ. I have a wife who tells me I love you when I go to bed and when I wake up. I have a child who gives me kisses every day. I have daughters who hug me. What more do I want? I only make sure my name is not erased from the book of life." And so, my dear people, ends the story of the man who held all of Puerto Rico in the palm of his hand and ended up with his hands raised, worshiping the only one who deserves glory, Jesus Christ. From being the FBI's #1 most wanted to being a warrior of God, from taking 19 bullets and still breathing, to having peace that surpasses all understanding, from sleeping with a Bible as a pillow in the federal hold, to sleeping hugged by his wife and son, from his mother telling him, "I don't know you," to his 4-year-old boy telling him, "Daddy, I love you," every night. If this story doesn't show you that there is no lost cause for God, then I don't know what else will convince you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying with me until the end. Leave me your comment. Do you think someone like Berto can truly change? Or do you still have doubts? I want to read you. Share this video with someone who is going through rock bottom because today could be the day God reaches them. And subscribe if you like the video. Activate the bell because next week we bring another story that will leave you shaking just as much or worse. Big blessings to you and your family. Love and peace. And see you soon, Puerto Rico.